The part number is 551628. All right, I got it sitting in there where it needs to go roughly. So I picked up this truck the other day. All right, that tank's on there. Welcome back, everyone. So I got a couple hours this afternoon. I want to get this 5.3 LS motor and this transmission mated together, and then I want to get it installed in this frame this afternoon. I bought these billet aluminum adapter plates. These plates go directly to your LS motor and adapt to your older style 5.7 motor mount. That's what I'm putting on the motor right now. I had to remove the air conditioning pump because where this bracket goes and where your motor mount's going to sit in the exact spot as the 5.7, it doesn't allow the air conditioner pump to be where it's at. So I had to remove the compressor. They're simple brackets, really. There's not a lot to them. It's pretty self-explanatory on how they go on. All right, so they're pretty simple, like I was saying. They come with all the bolts and stuff. They come with instructions. The instructions are really easy to read. The part number is 551628. SBC to LS engine swap bracket. They're built in the US, so you just take these. They're even marked PS for passenger side and then DS for driver's side. You really can't screw these up, but they bolt right back in to the original location of the LS motor mount. Just like that. So I got that bolted on. Now the instructions are pretty simple. Tells you where to put the bolt holes. It gives you a couple different styles. You can buy an aftermarket bracket for your 5.7 motor mount that'll bolt right to this, or you could just use the stock factory mount, which that's what I'm doing here. It's simple. I've got to use this hole and then this hole down here. So I just put it up here, make sure everything's lined up, and then just snug it up. It's like that. Now this motor should bolt right up to that transmission and sit exactly where the 5.7 sat with these motor mounts. All right, I got it sitting in there where it needs to go roughly. I thought I was going to have to modify that cross member in the front, but now that I've got it in here, I've got plenty of room around that cross member, so I don't know. I know it's not going to be easy to replace this motor when it's in the truck, but that's where it's going to sit, is right there. I have to replace the dipstick tube because this one's broke. I have to put the power steering hose on before I mount it all because there's just no room in here along this frame. With all these wires and everything, there's just no room to get to it. But everything else, it's pretty tight on the exhaust, obviously, but it all clears. I think it's going to work. Leaking transmission fluid everywhere. All right, everyone, I apologize. I didn't do a lot of filming because I only had a couple hours to get this done. I wanted to get this motor and tranny installed in this frame. So what I had to do was the aluminum motor mount brackets. I had to get a pilot bushing adapter for the torque converter. It just slides into the crank. It was like $12. It's to keep the torque converter in line with the crank so it doesn't wobble around. And then I had to open up the torque converter bolt pattern holes on the flex plate because they were off just a little bit. and then I had to remove the AC pump on that side because the passenger side motor mount intruded into the AC pump. But other than that, that was a pretty easy deal. I got to go through it and put all the bell housing bolts in. I got to bolt the torque converter up. I got to tighten up the motor mounts. It's just loosely mocked up right now, but it was pretty much all bolt together, guys. It's pretty simple. So now, once I get all that done, which will probably be tomorrow after work or something, I'm not sure yet, then I can start working on the exhaust, getting it ran, and getting the gas tank, figuring out the gas tank for it. All right, everyone. So we got the motor installed. I've got the transmission installed. I do have a standalone harness that I ordered, so I will be ripping the harness off. The problem is that I can't put the harness in or on the motor because I have to feed it from the inside of the cab. The one that I got mounts the computer up underneath the dash, basically in the same location as your TBI computer is, just on the passenger side. It's got a rubber boot and everything goes in there. I just got to pull the wiring harness out of that and then replace it with that one. And then once I get the cab on here, then I can hook up my wires and stuff. But that'll be later. So right now what I've been doing is I've been working on the exhaust, getting that done. I've got it up to this point, but I'm waiting on parts, guys. I don't know what the deal is with shipping. My mufflers, they got delayed 3 different times. I don't know, but they're supposed to be here today. So I've got an exhaust manifold gasket coming. They're supposed to be here today. I've got the parts to fix the brake line, to tie that in. That's supposed to be here today. I've got the mufflers that's supposed to be here today. So I'm just waiting on parts to try to finish this up. But I did get the gas tank. So I picked up a truck. I'll show you. I picked up another truck the other day. I got it really cheap, and it's just a donor truck. It's another short box 4-wheel drive. I think it's an 81, but I'll show you. So I picked up this truck the other day. Now, guys, it's pretty gone. Okay, all the floorboards are rotted off of it. The back of the frame, from the door back on the driver's side, has been completely rotted. They've plated it. They've done all kinds of stuff to it, but it's not worth saving. So the frame is trashed. The bed is in decent shape. It can be fixed. It does have a couple little dings in it. I don't know what they were doing here, but that'll have to be cleaned up. The quarter panel here has been rolled up. It's got damage on below the tail light lens. It is repairable. The other side's not as bad. It's fairly straight. So I'm going to take the bed. I'll probably repair the bed and just save it. And then it's got a back drop bumper that's not too bad. I'll probably pull the front end and rear end out of it because they're good. But I mainly got this for the gas tank mounting hardware and the extra gas tank. So for what it would cost me for 2 gas tanks, I paid less for this truck. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but like the rocker panel here's trashed. The door is good. Both doors are in good shape. This fender is good. It does have some typical rust right here, but it's not too bad. It's just bubbling up a little bit. A guy could clean that up. I don't even see it on the inside, so a guy could clean that up pretty good, but this fender is really straight. There's no typical rust up here. So the fender is in pretty good shape. The other one, on the other hand, is pretty shot. But the other door is good. So I'll probably remove the doors, remove the axles. I've already pulled the gas tanks out. One of the gas tanks had a hole in it. It was rusted. The one, obviously, that they weren't using. And then the other one, the inside of it is really clean. So I've got that one all cleaned up and primed and resealed. I just put some sealer over the top of, all the way around on the outside of it, just because I don't want to have any leaks in the future. But I primed it all up, and then I'm going to use the other one that I had personally before this truck. I had it with the square body parts that I had that came with the bed and the frame. that I use to stretch the Suburban with. So that tank is in good shape. So I'm going to run dual tanks, obviously. I can't run the Suburban tank because of where the rear axle sits now. I don't have the room. It sits below the bump stops, and I don't like that. So I can't use the newer style 30-gallon tank because it was meant to sit inside the frame. And so it's too wide to sit on the outside of the frame, and it's too wide to sit on the inside of the frame because your older square bodies, the frame is narrower than your newer 90s model or even your 2000 model. They widen the frame, so I can't use that tank. So I'm going to run dual tanks to a single in the rail on the rail fuel pump and pressure regulator that way, and we'll just run dual tanks. But that's where we're at right now. I'm working on the gas tanks. I'm waiting for the primer to dry on the one fuel tank. I did get the mounting hardware on the driver's side of the frame for the saddle tank for the driver's side. Now I did have to repair this one. This one was rotten out in the middle here, so I had to cut the center of it out, put a piece of metal in there, and weld it back up. But it's good now. I've got them all cleaned up. They're just loosely bolted on here. I have to drill a couple more holes because I don't like some of them only had 3 holes or bolts holding it in, and then some of them had 4. So where they have the 3, I want 4. Which would be this one here. This one here has all 4, which is fine, but this one here only has 3. I don't know why they did it. That side's the same way. So I'm going to drill another hole and I'm going to put another bolt in it. I would just want 4 bolts holding it in. So once that dries, then we'll mount that tank in here. And then I'll clean up the other tank, the one that I had already. I'll get the mounting hardware off of it, clean it all up. I'll prime it, and then I'll mount the brackets on that side of the frame. We'll get those tanks mounted. And then hopefully by then I'll have the rest of my parts. I can get this going. Once I get the frame completed, guys, I don't want to put the cab back on here until everything is completed on the frame. Minus your fuel lines and stuff. I really don't. The fuel lines I could do while the cab's on it, but exhaust, stuff like that, guys, I don't want to even mess with it with the cab on it. It's just so much easier to do it this way. I had to go to the wrecking yard and buy these exhaust manifold flanges. I bought a brand new set from the local auto parts store here, but they were just a generic, supposed to fit everything, but they didn't. They're a 3-bolt flange, but the pattern was off. So I don't know. I think they gave me one that'll fit like a older model Chevy pickup, but so I had to go to the junkyard. I got these, which was fine because I needed the O2 sensors for this 5.3. They already had the O2 bungs in them, so it saved me work, essentially. So I had to clearance this side a little bit because of the angle of this manifold. It shot the exhaust pipe essentially right into this frame because, like I was saying earlier, these frames are narrower. So it does work, it does fit, but I had to clearance the backside of the exhaust a little bit. And then I had to angle it away because your shifter, you go from a cable shifter, which is this LS is used to, with an electronic box on the side of it, to a manual linkage shifter. And it shifts down, so your exhaust comes through here on this frame, and it comes down through underneath the cross member here. So I brought it back up right here because I don't want it sitting below the frame. So from here to about right here, the shackle is basically exposed, but it's so close to the front tire that if I'm ever in that situation, it'd be rare for what I do to hit that. So I'm not worried about that, but the center from here back was what I was worried about. I don't want to damage the exhaust and be hitting it up because it's sitting below the frame. But we got that all in. Like I said, I'm waiting for an exhaust manifold donut here for the flange. That one's already there. It's part of the manifold. So once I get that, I can tighten these up, and then this front part will be done, and then I can work on the mufflers and shooting the exhaust out the back from that point. But I got to get my parts first. So right now we're just working on fuel tanks, guys. All right, that tank's on there. So I just got to clean up the other one and get it on that side. All right, parts have arrived. Let's see what we got here. Oh, there's my gasket for my collector. Man, those are cute. Those are my mufflers. Sweet, now we can do the exhaust. Oh, it's a flaring tool. Flaring tool that I got because my other one's old. So now I should be able to finish the brake lines. This should be my other muffler. Right here. Yep. There's number 2. Sweet. So these mufflers are mild performance mufflers. They're like I think they call them a Flowtech. That's what I'm putting on here. Not very big. If I don't like the sound, then obviously I got a lot of room to modify it later. But so sweet. Now we can do the exhaust. All right, everyone. So the saddle tanks are on. The exhaust is done. I've got to put 2 more hangers on the end for the exhaust. But everything is complete on the frame. I have to put this little tie-in piece for the brake line, but that's not a big deal. I'm waiting for sending units. I can't put the sending units in if the cab's on it because the sending units sit up underneath the cab. So I do have to get those. They're on their way. I ordered them. When they get here, they're going to get here, I guess. But once I get those and get those in, then I can put the cab back on this thing for its final time. So until then, guys, thanks for watching.